Hello everyone, welcome back to SAP Technomaniac. In my last video, we have connected our BAS trial account with the ABAP trial account. Now we are ready with the system setup. We can do the practical as well along with our theory. In this video, we will go little bit deep in the annotation part. We have learned how the annotations work. Now we will see the different type of annotations. And if we define the annotation at the different layer, we can define the annotation in the front end, in the BAS, at the annotation.xml file, in the back end, in the consumption CDS view. We can define even the annotation separate file called the metadata extension file in the back end. If we don't define there also, the denotations automatically come from the data elements. So if we define each and every layer, all the annotations, then which annotations will be preferred when we display our Fiori application? Even if you go to the metadata extension file also, there are different layers, core, customer, partner. There are different layer of annotations are there. You can define multiple annotations or multiple metadata extension file for that particular CDS. Which metadata extension files annotations will be taken? So we will see in detail, not only in the theory, I will show you in the practical as well how we are accessing real time the annotations from the back end and the front end based on the priority. Let's get started. What are annotations? Annotations, however, we have discussed in our 5 building blocks video. But let's quickly revise. Annotations, these are the instruction to your Fiori application that how your application will look when it will be loaded in front end. How many selection filters are there, which will be editable, how many columns are displayed, in which sequence those are displayed, and for each column what is the value held. Those all are the things we are giving as an instruction in form of the annotation to our application. Let's understand in another way. Suppose one SAP preparing any dish. What all are the things need to prepare any dish? One is the data, second is the instructions. So in here, Fiori Elements, which, or you can say the UI, say preparing the dish, though Fiori Elements is preparing the dish. Which dish? These are the preparing our application. Data is coming from ingredient. What all are the ingredient this particular Fiori app have in form of the data? But how this ingredient this particular SAP can use and prepare a dish, that instructions, or we can say recipe instruction, we have in form of annotations. So you can understand in such a way, if SAP preparing a dish, he need the ingredients, second thing he need the instruction how to prepare, then he can prepare easily and prepare particular dish. In such similar way, for Fiori element to prepare an application, they need the data and how I can use the data and display in front end, those instructions I need. So I will get directly data, and those instruction I will get in form of annotations. In that way we can create our final application. Then next question, why it is matter? We can create the front-end application using UI5 as well. Why those annotations are matter? Without annotations also I can create my application. Why these are matter? I have explained multiple times. Just to quick revision, faster development, because we no need to reinvent the wheel again and again. I no need to write the code. This particular control of selection filter should be displayed like this. This particular column should be displayed in this particular manner, and this control is look like this. For each control I no need to write the backend JavaScript code. I just have the instruction. Fiori framework automatically generate those elements. Consistency, since this particular annotations is used by our flu plans, those are unique or consistent across the multiple applications, so user will not feel difficulty whenever they will see the application. These are the applications when you build through Fiori element. These are the consistent application throughout your company and throughout the SAP world. Third is the maintainability. Maintainability is very easy because whenever the SAP upgrades happen, since you didn't write any JavaScript code or UI5 code, even the UI upgrades are happen, those Fiori annotations automatically adapt to those particular upgrades. But if you write your code in form of JavaScript in specific UI5 version, once your UI5 version is upgraded, there might be chances your application can break. Next is a clean core. Obviously, you are just concentrating on your business logic. You are not worrying about the how my UIs look like, or how it will be rendered in front end. So it is the clean core. Whenever you create the application using the Fiori element, since it is adaptable and stable during the upgrade, so that is the reason we are following the clean core when you are developing any application using the Fiori element, because Fiori element always taken care by the SAP. This is a part of SAP core, so no need to worry. Last but not least, flexibility. Even if you have created some application using these annotations, but still you can make some changes. Types of annotation in SAP Fiori element. We can categorize the annotations in different ways, based on the location where we are writing, based on the origin where it is coming from, and based on the domain as well. We start with the based on location. If you are writing your annotation in your backend system, in your CDS can be your ABAP CDS or your HANA CDS also. If you are not aware, we can create the CDS in the directly HANA natively as well, and we are usually creating ABAP CDS. HANA CDS we use for the CAPM application, so that we create directly in the HANA environment. Here we are creating the CDS ABAP. What is the basic difference? That ABAP CDS is open source, obviously. It can be utilized in different database also if it is feasible, but HANA CDS is specific to the HANA database. So there is more functionalities are available in HANA CDS than the ABAP CDS. This is basic difference. And similar way, the annotations we can write obviously in the backend in the CDS, and front end you already seen just now. We have created in the annotation.xml file that you can directly write it down, or you can use open guided tool to create those annotations. Now the one thing I just want to explain here itself, instead of creating another slide, when we have to use backend and when we have to use front end annotations. So backend annotations means as soon as you provide the annotations, wherever the service will be consumed, everywhere it will be available. But front end annotations means those will be the service specific, application specific. So we are writing in the and these annotation directly where we have the we are want to create that particular application. So those front end annotation always the application specific, but the backend annotation can be utilized in the different. So if you have some annotations which is used to this OData service in multiple applications, then you have to provide those annotation in backend itself. Apart from that, sometime, as I told you in our example also, some OData services which is coming from the third party, or which is coming from the open data source where we don't have annotation facilities available. In that case, we can provide directly those annotations in the front end itself instead of creating those annotation in the back end. And backend annotation, obviously, most of the time we will provide, if the service is generated from S/4HANA system or S/4HANA itself, then we will provide in the CDS itself. So wherever we use those particular backend service in the front end, those annotation will be available everywhere. Apart from that, one more scenario is that sometime our front end is updating faster than our backend system. Our backend is the 2019 or 2020, but our front end UI is updated in the latest version. In that case, those front end annotations we have more flexibility, means those annotations are not available in backend because our backend system is the older system, but those annotations which we want to utilize is available on the front end. In that case, we can create whatever the available in backend annotation we can utilize. If it is not available, we can create the front end annotation to overcome this one, and we can add those annotation instead of adding in backend. We can add those annotation in front end, and then we can create our application. So these are the different scenario where we have to use the backend annotations and the front end annotation. Now next one is the based on origin. Most of the time we use the standard annotations only, which is provided by SAP. Most of the annotations provided by the SAP only. In the ABAP, we don't have the custom annotation at all. We have to use always standard annotation, and we are always using UI.line item, UI.selection field, and we have the consumption annotations. We have the KPI related OData published to, or at the rate analytical related annotations. All the things we are using in the backend only, or those are all are the standard annotations. But something called the custom annotations, we can create based on our requirement our own annotations. These are the custom annotations. ABAP, it is not available, but if you are having the HANA CDS, then you can create that your own annotations if you are working in the HANA modeling, or you are working at the database level. There you can create the custom annotations as well. As I told you, ABAP CDS are the open source, but the HANA CDS are not the open source. That is a HANA database specific. There is more functionalities are available. You can create there your own annotations if it is required. But in the ABAP side, you can't create these kind of things, are not available. Custom annotations are not available. Then we have based on domain. We can categorize the annotations, how these annotations are utilized. For example, the UI annotations, it will helpful to render the UI element like the table or fields, form, chart. These are the UI annotations, which basically start from the UI dot at the rate UI dot annotations. You can see those all are the annotations come under the UI annotation. Apart from that, we have the consumption annotations, which will be helpful to give the value help further. These are the basically backend annotations which will provide the additional information like that for this particular field, what is the app for help. For this particular field can be used in as a filter in front end. So we will tell at the rate consumption filter equal to true. So in front end you can utilize this particular field as a filter as well. These are the thing, or this particular field we can utilize in the search as well. At the rate search capabilities equal to 2, we will 2. So these all are the things we come under the consumption annotations. You might think like that filter is available, selection filter also, and consumption filter also, but the both are different. Some in consumption filter, from the backend we are deciding that this particular field you can utilize for the filtering because it is very useful. I'm giving this functionality to you. But in the front end guy, if something is not coming as a filterable, but still he can filter using the selection filter too. Anyway, the UI annotation we can provide from the backend also in the metadata XML file, or you can provide in the your CDS itself, but it is always recommended to use the metadata file for the UI annotations. We will discuss those things in upcoming videos. Then we have object model annotations. This will enable your business semantics and the transactional behavior. Business semantics means it will establish the relationship between the parent and child entity using the compositions, and that it will enable that this particular entity is the creatable, updatable, or deletable. So this kind of annotation called the object model annotation. Next is the analytical annotations, as I told you, which is start at the rate analytical dot query equal to 2. At the rate analytical it will start. So this will be helpful in the front end, that for the enabling the creating the analytical list spaces or displaying the different KPIs, smart chart. Then the analytical annotations will work. This we will discuss when we discuss on the analytical flow plans. And next one is the semantic annotations. This will tell the field specific thing. This field is the email field, this field is the hyperlink, this field is the address field, this is the first name, last name. Those all the information, or we can say amount and currency. This is the amount field, this is the currency field, and what is the relationship between them. Those all the things will be told by the semantic annotation. These are the different annotations we will discuss in detail when we create the practical. When we write this practical in the backend, that time I will show you each and everything. We have already created one basic application using the Northwind OData service. As you know, the Northwind OData service is the open source OData service. It will not give us any annotations. If you are creating any OData service from the SAP backend, you can add those annotations using the CDS. But if you are using any third party application or open source data application, you will be not having annotations. So you might have worked on, if you're backend developer, you know how to add the backend annotations. But suppose one service is coming from the third party or open source, how you will add the annotations for that? That is also important. No need to worry. If you are not aware about the backend annotation, that also we'll discuss. But today we'll start with the front end annotations. So you can see we have already created one basic application. If you preview this application, there is nothing is there. Just we have used the template and we generated the one list report application using the open source Northwind OData service. If you don't have any backend system or BTP trial account or any account, still you can generate basic application using the open source data service and app, or we can say application. So let me select the columns which you want to display, click on OK and click on Go button. It will display all the column whatever you want to display from that Northwind OData service. Now suppose my requirement is that I want to add here selection filter. One way, once I displayed, I can click on adapt filter and add those selection filter. But I want to add those selection filter by default whenever this particular application get loaded. And so no user no need to go on the adapt filter and add those filters. And in a similar way, if you want to add those columns by default, user no need to go in setting button and add these columns. Those kind of things I want to do through the annotations. I want to create my application. Since this is not the backend thing, so we will add the annotation in annotation.xml file. As of now, there is no much annotation front end related. We have to add these annotations now. There is two way. If you know the annotations coding, you can start writing your annotation from here. It will work. But if you are new to the Fiori development, you don't know how the front end annotations look like, how it works. So SAP given us a very user friendly tool that is called guided development tool. So you can just right click on your application and open guided development. Once you open this development tool, you have to select the project. For which project you want to add the annotations. It by default selected since I opened from here. If it didn't select by default for you, or if it does not select for you, then you have to select from here. Then you have to select the page type, view type, and what kind of things you want to do. Suppose I want to add the selection filter, so you can search for the filter in our filter area. So this is the basically our filter area of list report page. I want to add the selection filter. So you can see add and edit filter fields. This I want to do. There is something called add a custom filter to the filter bar. This is a little bit different than normal filter. Custom filter where you have to write the fragments and you do little bit UI coding. But here we just want to add the simple filter. Just you can click on this one and it will show you once you use this user development guide where this particular field will be added, and you can read out this one. Then it is saying that it will be added here. I want to add here only. So let's start this particular guide. Before that, let me do little bit reduce this one. This is not required. So let me start guide. You can reduce this also if it is required. Now it will ask you want to add the filter. I know, but which entity type you want to use for your filtration? So I will select the product entity type because my main entity is the product. So let me use the product. I know I have created this application from the product is the main service and the supplier is the child. So I know this because when I generated this project, if you don't know how I did, you watch out my previous video where I have explained how to set up the BTP trial account. I created this first application as part of that. And now I want to add the selection field. So you can add the which property you want to use from this particular product, or if you have navigated property, then the navigation path also you can select. You can see supplier we have if you want to select from your child entity. But as of now I want to select from my main entity. Suppose I want to add the supplier ID is a filter. If you want to add additional filter, you can add selection filter. And you can select, suppose I want to add the discontinued, if the product is discontinued or not. Based on that, I want one filter that also. Once you have added this one, you can see it automatically generated code for you. One for the supplier ID, it is saying you have the two selection field. One is the supplier ID and second is the discontinued. Let me just, you have to click on the insert snippet. As soon as you click on the insert snippet, it will add this particular code to your annotation.xml file. Now, if you know this code, you can write out here. It is very user friendly tool. It will give you help and all. But if you don't know about any annotations, how we have to write, still you can write using this guided tool. You can see those annotations automatically got generated for you. Now, how these annotations work? You can see my application also refreshed. I have already given ingredient in form of the data. I have already saved which can prepare the application in form of my Fiori framework, but it needs the recipe, how this particular data is displayed. So that recipe I have given in form of these annotations. So I am telling my Fiori SAP or framework SAP, these are the two annotations you have to use. These are the two fields you have to use as a selection fields in my application. Your SAP know the instruction now. It will render this particular two field as form of these filters. If you refresh again and you will click on go button, now this automatically it got added. Still we don't have the selection field. In similar way we can add these fields also, but I just want to show how the annotations work. So that is the reason these are the front end annotations, not the back end annotations. I can now filter with the supplier ID 3, 2, 1, whatever the way. I know the supplier ID 3 have 3 fields. You can see it got filtered out. If you want to filter based on the discontinued item, I want to click on yes. I just want to display the discontinued item. So you can see it got displayed only discontinued products. So this is how you can work with the annotations. I have given you simple example. We'll go in depth. I just want to explain how these annotations work. I don't want to stress this video. I will pause here. We will continue about the annotations in the next video as well. In next video, we'll discuss the different layering of the annotations. So we have defined in this video the annotation at the front end side. In next video, we will define front end side as well, back end side as well, and we will see which annotations SAP giving preference and what will be the sequence where annotations, from where those annotations rendering will happen. When we define front end and when we define in back end, which will be preferred. In back end also we have metadata extension file. From the metadata extension also, from where which layer of the metadata extension file the annotation will be picked. So these all things we will discuss in the next video. Before going to next video, please like this video, share this video with others as well. With that, thank you and happy learning.